Hello everyone, thanks for coming after lunch. I see people are still coming in. I hope you had a nice lunch. So we sit in a different order than the picture. In this session, we will cover why customer experience measurement is important, how to do that, and what are the challenges related with it. My name is Ufuk. I'm head of business excellence for GSK in the Netherlands. And let's make the introductions. Niccolò.
Hi everyone, I'm Niccolò Huismans. I'm from Menarini. I'm the Regional Innovation and Digital HCP Engagement Manager.
Beverly.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Beverly Smet and I'm Senior VP at Precision AQ. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for the introductions. So let's start with how we define customer experience and why it is important. Beverly, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ufuk. So for me, CX excellence is really the optimal experience that customers have with your brand as a result of the engagement through the right channel, right content and services, and at the right time. I truly think that CX measurement is very important in pharma because our evidence suggests that if you can demonstrate a positive CX evolution, it definitely has a positive impact on market share evolution. Now, to put it into a context, not sure if...
Give me a slide.
Free. So to put it into context, I think this cartoon nicely illustrates it. So all too often, when I work with pharma clients, typically business plans start off from your strategic brand imperatives. But so in other words, what you want to say to customers about your brand. But I like to turn it the way around by basically starting from the customer. What is the customer problem we need to solve? What are their customer needs? And then see to what extent it fits with one or two strategic brand imperatives. In the end, I think it comes down to finding the subtle balance between what you want to convey as a brand and what your customers are interested in. And that, in my opinion, defines relevance and experience.
Yeah, thanks, Beverly. How is it for you, Niccolò? How do you define it?
Yes, so like from an industry perspective, let's say a customer experience, or like rather a good customer experience, is making sure that our customers are, whenever they engage with us as a company, with our products or our services, that this engagement is relevant and meaningful to them. And translated to our primary customers, which is HCP, so healthcare professionals, it means that we as a company must make sure to understand their clinical and logistical needs in order to deliver content and valuable assets to them in order for them to then deliver better care to patients. And as Bev just said, let's say it all revolves around, let's say, 4 main dimensions, where the first one is content. Content is king. It must be high quality. It must be very well structured to be valuable for the people that it's directed to. And the people who are directed to it, like the second component of this thing. So we need to be sure that like we are engaging with the right customer, with the right person that we want to leverage our content. And then the other 2 aspects, the last 2 aspects, are related to the way that we deliver this content, so the channels, because they must be the most relevant channels in order for them to be able to use this content, and also to be in a timely and, let's say, in a good frequency manner. So we don't have to bombard them when they don't need to have this content in their daily activities.
Mm-hmm. So this is how you define it. And how do you ensure that your organization is committed to delivering a superior customer experience from top to bottom? Because there are so many parties involved in this.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question. You're completely right. So I think that it comes from, let's say, from 3 main parts. The strong leadership, empowered local teams, and then, let's say, all the supportive functions that circulate around. Because it's fundamental that the leadership is clearly championing and clearly focused on achieving like customer-centric approach as, let's say, the Northern Star to which everyone, the whole company must aim at. And then once they once they cascade down this type of input from the top, it is critical that the local managements, like the local markets, that they understand how to translate this vision into action, into activities that can actually be tangible, in order also for the people, so the people within the local markets, that they feel part of this whole push towards reaching the same goal, and it's clear to them what is their role in achieving all this. And here again, then on the last part is the local teams, because then the local teams must be empowered by these supporting functions, call them corporate, call them global, or call them regional, whatever, but it must be a team of people that are ready to support the local teams in order to drive the best customer experience, to collect the data from it, and to strive for continuous improvement in order to create a feedback loop that then, let's say, reinforces the message, reinforces the actions, and reinforces the delivery of these strategies.
Yeah, thanks, Niccolò. To summarize the definition out of it with my own opinion, the customer experience is sum of all interactions a customer has with a company, with its services, brands, products, employees, and everyone. So it's a perception of companies, products, services, or a corporate brand overall. So, but this is customer experience and why it is important. But how do we measure it? So what are the metrics that are important, or what are the key drivers driving customer experience? So what do you think about this, Beverly?
Yeah, I think if you truly take CX measurement seriously, the voice of the customer is imperative. So next to any channel interaction metrics you may already monitoring from your customers. In addition to that, I would strongly recommend to also benchmark that CX performance against your direct competitors if you want to stay ahead of the game, because in the end, competition is not sitting still either. One key takeaway for me personally is that it's important to measure CX performance at the brand level. And so we have data of thousands of physicians worldwide, and what we see is that company-level KPIs are not differentiating enough between companies, whereas brand-level KPIs are. Now, to put it into perspective, so I'm providing you with a holistic external framework, which you can add to any internal metrics you may be using already. But for me, the starting point is really to look at channel performance. So are we engaging with our customers through the most impactful channels from their perspective? And how does that performance relate versus our direct competitors? Obviously, it's not only about the channels, it's also about the content. Are we providing relevant content to daily practice? Is our content clear and concise, and so forth? And again, how does that relate to what our competitors are doing? So those two ingredients in the end define, in my opinion, omni-channel leadership. And then you can go one step further and think about how that translates into CX performance. And what we do at Precision AQ is we break that down into different CX drivers. And just to provide some perspective here, so this is data based on over 2,000 specialists that we surveyed worldwide. And as you can see, from a physician point of view, having a knowledgeable staff to engage with comes at position number 1, but also the ease of engagement across all channels. So not only the field force, but how easy is it to engage with your brand across multiple channels? A brand that respects my time, but also is responsive to any HCP requests. And contrary to what many pharma marketeers may think, you see that actually knowing channel preference ranks at the bottom. So from a customer point of view, it's not the ultimate priority, whereas we tend to think, well, we need to know exactly how we need to engage with customers. But in my opinion, most physicians today are omni-channel customers. Just like you and me in our daily lives, we also engage through different channels. Now, what we have also found in the data that we have is that CX is very strongly correlated to Net Promoter Score, which in essence measures brand preference. And based on all the data that we collected, we see that 2/3 of the NPS score, or the brand preference, is actually driven by CX-related factors, as opposed to the typical brand attributes, such as efficacy or tolerability of your brand. And that, of course, as we know also from other industries, NPS has a lot of predictive value for future market share evolution too. And let me just illustrate that with a real case study in a highly competitive psoriasis market where we looked at 250 EU5 prescribers. So what we did is we first of all plotted all these brands. I've anonymized the case, but we've plotted them based on omnichannel performance and CX performance. So what you see here is that the leading brand is indexed at 100%, and all the other brands are indexed versus the leader on the 2 dimensions to give an impression of distance. But for me, the key takeaway is that, first of all, if you look at the correlation, 0.9, there's almost a one-on-one correlation between being able to seamlessly engage with customers through different channels and being perceived as a CX leader. Next, we also try to look at the correlation between CX and Net Promoter Score. And also here, what you actually see is that those brands that are being perceived as providing an optimal customer experience in general tend to have higher NPS as well. And again, quite a strong correlation of 0.8. Obviously, it's not a one-on-one correlation because the brand itself matters too. And so if your brand is not effective, doctors, you can have a fantastic customer experience, but doctors will still not prescribe it. And then for us, the ultimate KPI was to actually link NPS to market share evolution. So what we did is we took the data from our research and we correlated that to IQVIA market share data. And again, similar conclusion as we have seen before, still quite a strong correlation of 0.6 between NPS and market share.
Yeah, thanks, Beverly. It's very impressive that we see correlations between different measurement points, different metrics. But when we take this to Pharma's point of view, Niccolò, how do you take all these data and turn them into insights and then to actions? How you use it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So unfortunately, we are not there yet. But we are starting to put in place like some measures in order to enable this, and I'm very happy that Bev now, let's say, brought up again that say the omnichannel perspective that Dario a bit disrupted this morning in the opening speech, because what we are doing in our company is that we are trying to tackle this from a two sides perspective. So the first one is that we have, let's say, the global team involving all the different functions, so like marketing, medical, field force effectiveness, in order to cooperate together to define the company strategy, to define like what really top-notch customer experience means to us and what is the objective that we have to achieve. And also in parallel to, let's say, define what is the infrastructure strategy for like all the tools that will support us to achieve this. On the other hand, we as a regional team, we are working more closely with the different affiliates, or like with the different markets. And we are trying to, let's say, step by step, introduce different types of metrics in order for the countries to start understanding that this new view is not something that is just there for itself, but it's something that will help us grow in the future. And we started a couple of years ago with just, let's say, a very high-level input requirement from the countries, asking them to give us the next omnichannel or like digital HCP engagement KPIs for the next years. Then last year, we started adding a more operational view. So to let them understand that like to achieve those objectives, they had to put in place like some steps, like a process in order to get there at some point. And then this year, what we have started doing during the performance review sessions, we have also started including some qualitative KPIs on NPS, on customer engagement, in order to make them understand that it's all like, let's say, it's a world around this, and they don't have to just be laser focused on certain things.
Yep. Thanks, Niccolò. And in my personal experience, I divide this into two main categories. One is relational, the other one is transactional. What I mean with that? Let's assume your HCP just attended to a webinar, and then you sent them a survey asking how satisfied they were with the webinar, and you can get some 5-star customer satisfaction score or thumbs up, thumbs down, different metrics there, because it's for that transaction only. But also longer term, as you highlighted NPS, for example, Net Promoter Score, how would you recommend this company or brand to a colleague, to a friend, it's just more than one touch point, more than one transaction. Here you need more relational surveys. So that's why I divide this into two. Transactional to understand satisfaction with your touch points, and longer term relational with NPS. So with these two different categories, of course, the survey frequency changes, the approach or the type of insights you will get also change. So there are different approaches we all take to this. And we have covered now what customer experience is, what are the different approaches to measure it. But is it that easy? What are the challenges of measuring customer experience?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I'm working with a lot of big pharma companies. My personal experience is that most pharma companies today are pretty good at measuring individual channel interaction metrics. And that's also being confirmed by our annual omnichannel maturometer industry benchmarking study, where you actually see that 84% of pharma executives is measuring reach or interaction metrics of their customers. But of course, the fact that somebody comes to your website or to your webinar doesn't say, in my opinion, anything at all about whether or not they like the content or the service that was offered to them. And same applies for attitude and behavior. So does your content really drive an attitudinal or behavioral change? And also here you see in the data that only 50% of pharma executives today are actually also measuring CX, attitudinal and behavioral data. And to build further on this, as I mentioned before, it's very important to also benchmark some of your efforts versus your direct competitors. We see that today it's still very much an internal game. So a lot of internal metrics are being collected in the CRM. And that's also what you see in the upper right graph here. But as soon as it comes down to also monitoring external metrics and also including voice of the customer metrics, we see that today only 52% of pharma executives is consistently monitoring that. And that also explains, in my opinion, to some extent, why we see relatively low satisfaction levels today with regards to omnichannel and CX benchmarking across the industry.
Yeah. And with this, Niccolò, can you share maybe more solid example of where customer feedback led to a significant change in your strategy, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we mentioned before, like the voice of the customer exercise. I used to do it a lot when I used to be in consulting. So we did it, let's say, old style. So like not with AI, as was also presented in the other room, but like really like going to the customers and asking for their voice. And so we had this example a couple of years ago in one of our markets. We were launching a new product, so like massive promotional expenditure and pressure and everything, but the prescriptions were not really taking off at the beginning. So we had like a task force, global, regional, local, analyzing, okay, what is happening? Why are we spending a lot in promotion, but we're not prescribing? And let's say the first outcome of it was, yeah, okay, we just have to spend more on promotion. We just have to market more the products. But then luckily, we had the chance together with the local team to propose a new approach. So like to propose a voice of the customer approach. So we gave the reps some rep-triggered emails, templates, with which they could reach out to the healthcare professionals, asking them about an NPS, a very simple NPS score, of like, how did you find the latest visit and promoting on this type of product? And for those ones who were promoters, we encouraged the reps to actually go there and to then ask, well, during face-to-face video, okay, so if you like the way that we are delivering the contents to you about this product, why are you not prescribing it? And let's say, surprisingly, it turned out like many of those HCPs interviewed, they were saying that they would not feel confident in prescribing a certain product if there were not, let's say, a supporting asset for patient support, so like a patient support program or something like that. And so this was key for us in order to understand where to actually divert our investments. So instead of like just regular basic marketing activities, in order to create a digital asset based on like patient support digital platforms, and then to create a whole strategy around it. So we diverted all the investments from more face-to-face or like other types of channels into like search engine optimization, asset management, and things like this for this patient support portal. It's something that really changed our strategic view just by listening to our customers. Unfortunately, I cannot say that there was like a complete game changer, but we're seeing the results a couple of years from since then.
Yep, great example. And from you both, what I understand is it's not enough to just measure NPS or customer satisfaction score. We require more deep dive into it. Let's take this event, for example, and let's assume this is a face-to-face meeting with HCPs, and we are the speakers here. And Dario asks, how satisfied were you from this session? And you give 3-star, 4-star. But what was the driver? Is it speakers? Is it the content, lighting, the conditions in the room? Was it the food before, during the lunch? Or was it the duration, the temperature, everything? So that's why we need to also structure our surveys and our approach to collect those insights in a more intelligent way. If I click on 2 stars, for example, then I need to get the follow-up question, what you were not happy with. If it's the speaker, then maybe another follow-up question. Was it the content, duration, tone of voice? Was it too monotonous? Was it less interactive or too much interactive? All these things. So I think this kind of approach will make it easier for us in the head offices to evaluate where we need to improve, what we need to change as cross-functional teams with other types of data points we have, of course. So with this, we have covered what customer experience is, why we need to measure it, what are different methodologies, approaches that we have discussed, possible challenges on it. And with this, I want to close the session. We still have around 3 minutes. If you have any questions, we are happy to take those as well. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. So just a few. Can you pull it up again?
Yeah.
So just a few key takeaways
Sure.
before we close. Well, first of all, as I mentioned before, I think it's important if you do CX benchmarking to monitor at the brand level, not at the company level, because in my opinion, physicians think in terms of brands and not in terms of companies. Also, as was discussed before, try to find the right balance between quantitative as well as qualitative interaction metrics. And especially for the latter, we see that a lot of pharma companies still struggle to collect that at a normative level. External benchmarking is key, as we have discussed. So what that means is that you need to collect insights, the voice of the customer insights, which will allow you to capitalize on opportunities, while at the same time also monitor what your competitors are doing to anticipate trends and stay ahead. And last but not least, as we have seen in this case study, but we also have done others at Precision, we always see a strong correlation between omnichannel, CX, NPS, and market share outcomes. So yeah, thanks a lot for your attention. I think we have...
Yeah, we still have time for questions.
For questions.
Yeah.
If there are any.
Yeah. Niccolò, you want to add something else, or good?
Maybe just wanted to add something on this last slide by Bev. So like you say that HCPs resonate by brand and not by company. So in our case, one of our main targets are like GPs, so like general practitioners. And with them, I think that maybe it could be also that they think at company level. So if they have like one good like service, like one good experience with us on certain therapeutic area, then this resonates also maybe to other ones. I don't know if this is something maybe you've also found.
I agree with you, because in the end we mainly look at the specialty market, but indeed in a GP context you may have a portfolio of brands, and there it may make sense to also look at the company level. Yeah.
All right, thank you both. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.